takeaways from the season opener?
Yeah, we had a couple press breaks in, but we didn't adhere to them. Nothing quite simulates a real press until you get in the game with the lights on. You can practice it with your male practice squad or against each other. So the good thing was we didn't handle it well, but we didn't do any of the things that I think would have helped us, right? But I think, the bright spots remain the bright spots, right? The inside play, that was, solid and good to see. But I think there was no surprises. It was everything I thought when I watched it, what we weren't so great at and some of the things we were, but it was a early season game against a team like that. I've felt that way many times over the years. They just make you play a certain way you haven't been doing. And it's constant pressure and it's constant always, pushing you to a level of uncomfortability, which is good later on. But when you're going through it, it's not so good.
I noticed that the starters, before they go out for the tip, they always huddle, and I think it was Kate and then Sid would be the one that was talking over the years, and I noticed it was Kylie this time. Would you say that she's your emotional leader right now? Do you have like a clear one there, or is that something that you hope develops over?
Yeah, I would say, you're watching that unfold. You guys are, and so are we. Kylie and Strimlow are our captains, and they do a fantastic job. I think the emotional component, just like all of us in this room, some of us have the ability, to just manage when what's hitting the fan. Other people, they maybe take a step back. I think that's the one thing that we'll watch unfold. I think Kylie's doing a great job, but you talk about a Sid or a Kate or a Caitlin, right? There's just different ways that those huddles and the direction goes when you need it to go. And I think that Kylie's doing a good job trying to step outside of that comfort zone. But I think that'll be, what's the story as we watch it unfold is, who's going to be that, who's going to take the game over, who's going to get the clutch shot, who's going to, step up. And I think this team, when it's forming in its infancy, it's just so it's just an interesting team. Because you have a lot of, have a superstar, quote unquote, in Hannah. You have quality kids and seniors, right? Jada Gyamfi is doing a good job in her role. Taylor McCabe, Kylie. And then you have emergence of Ava Hyden, but she's still pretty young when it comes to all of the other things. So I think that's what's going to be interesting. And also a need to color my hair, because it's nice to know, who you're going to and when. But I think that's the huddle in and of itself. It'll be interesting, not just the pregame, but when you got to get something done as a team when there's no coach there. Who takes over that free throw huddle? Who takes it over when, there's just been a run and not in our direction? Who can command the change? And I think that's what we'll see.
Out of curiosity, when you have a bunch of players that are still defining their roles, kind of like you're saying, is that a conversation that you have with Kylie in the preseason? Like, hey, we see you as somebody who could vocally step up as a leader? Or is that something that you just kind of let them figure out?
Yeah, I mean, it has to kind of unfold during a season, but certainly as you're, developing captains, you're trying to start that in their freshman to sophomore years. You're looking at kids that have the ability. Leadership's a lot about outside of yourself, and you constantly have to be outside of yourself, and it's a balance because you're also pushing for minutes and roles, but you're able to see the bigger picture. And Kylie and Taylor Strimlow have done that beautifully, Kylie's whole career. So it's just like all of you, a lot of people don't like rhetoric when you go to college, right? But rhetoric is so good, it makes you get outside of yourself and push, and you have to do it, right? And that's kind of, I think, what coaches do when you see leadership potential, is you keep pushing them outside of their comfort zone. And you keep encouraging them to use their voice, to take over a practice, because I mean, there's nothing like a peer correcting you, right? You're kind of used to the coach, and I go harder, finish stronger, or whatever. So yes, you do that to a degree, but it's the unfolding during the game that I think is what just kind of transpires. I mean, you don't know. It could, all of a sudden it could be a Ava Hayden if she continues to get, more and more confident that she has the ability at certain times. Hannah can at times. Hannah usually leans on her play, but I've encouraged Hannah to use her voice, because when Hannah's actions, when she gets rolling and then she commands that we need to step it up, there's a lot of power in that. So you just keep encouraging, and you're hopefully, giving them permission to take a risk and go outside themselves.
We talked about Chit Chat the other night, and what you've seen from her. I mean, she's someone that's still learning the system, obviously, and there's a lot of things to learn as a point guard for a team. But I think it's 11 assists and 2 turnovers in 2 games, and hasn't taken a shot to me that feels forced.
No.
She just lets it come to her. Just how impressed are you by, as she's still learning the system, to play that well right away?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with her. I mean, she's she's a consummate point guard, when it comes to really wanting to serve others, right? She's definitely a pass first point guard. I look forward to when she gets a little more confident. I think she could look to score it a little more. I've given her the green light to override most any type of set or offense that she might see. But I think that's exciting for us, is that she's just trying to do it so right now. Even like a press breaker, like I mean, if she can be a one-woman press breaker and go in between their legs and do whatever, I'm all for it. But she's really trying to go from A to B to C, whatever the plan is.
Right.
And so that's a really a good situation to be in, because she's really trying to make the whole thing work. But I think as she gets more and more confident, I think we can really empower her to be like, okay, you take it over. If you think you got this, take it over. It was really interesting at the end of the first quarter, I think, first quarter, one of them. We were doing an end of game. We practice all these end of game, end of quarter situations, and granted when you're younger. But she's so selfless. This was in practice, sorry. The play is to her to go in at the end of the quarter, start at about 8 seconds, go in and draw the foul. The only way you are not throwing it is if you see, especially with her size, you see a big help, then you'll kick it. So do the play, draw it up, and she is like during practice, and she is there, and the layup is there. She like stops and throws this pass, like 20-foot pass, like just like this to Feuerbach in the corner. It's like, whoa. Timeout, and everybody's looking at me because it was a wonderful pass. I said, but Chad, that's for you. That play is for you. Yes, that pass when the seas haven't parted. But her mentality, which I love, but it was another reminder of like, man, this kid is she's seeing everything. And I think if we get that if we give her powered, I think you'll see more and more of her with that.
What's it take to get Hannah and Ava to both work in the offense as well as they were working?
Yeah, I think we better look a little smoother in it. Sometimes it gets a little bit clunky as we're going. Our transition, we can morph into different offenses out of it. With my 2-post offense, it's just a little bit more, not as fluid yet, and I think it takes us a little longer, but when we get there, they're both pretty formidable there. And if we can, run, you can run different sets. We can put Hannah up high, and then you got to kind of pick how you want to, guard them. So I hope that gets more and more fluid, but they're both really, their strengths, especially Hannah's at that elbow to the post area. I'm hopeful that'll continue to look more and more fluid. But if we get it to either one of them at the elbow or the block, I'm pretty confident in they're gonna, be able to do something at a pretty high rate and pretty, high efficiency.
What's not where you want it right now? Is it like the spacing? Is it just?
Yeah, I think the spacing a little bit. It just morphing into just balancing the floor. I think our spacing, we get a little conglomerated. it takes us a little longer to remember, oh, I got to go here. So when we're flying, I like to fly on the break, right? Sometimes after we fly, it's like we go from 4 to like slow. And I'd like to go, if we can't go 4, can we just go 3, the gear 3 the whole way? And I just think there's a little bit, there's just a read and a feel with that. And we're just, I think playing different combinations, which will be good in time, but as you're trying to still early season figure that out, I just don't have that as fluid, and some people get the spacing a lot better. They're all working really hard. It just, some just have a better feel for it than others, and we got to be patient as we get the other people a feel.
I think there were some fans that when Addie Deal arrived, they just kind of assumed that she was gonna be the next greatest player, which she may very well be, but it's very clear that it's taken a little bit of time for her. Just what have you seen from her? Is it just the game moving a little too fast right now?
Yeah, I think that's the thing of this era we're in. For the good and the bad is it's exciting, right? And to have a lot of hype, but it's if you look back on different careers of stars, Addie's not the first one where sometimes it's like it's taken a little bit longer. We just haven't seen what she's going to do yet, right? I think that's the key. And so I'm just trying to take the pressure off of her on that. Addie had an ankle injury going into her last AAU summer. And I think that was, so she hasn't had all of that experience playing that, that pace. I think maybe Addie forgot a little bit about that too. But she kind of lost those chunks of months. And then her high school season, they're a really good team, but like every high school, they have a lot of teams they romp, right? And so then all of a sudden you get here and it's, everything's bigger, faster, stronger. And I just really, think that it just in year 2, we're always better, right? Or month 2, month 3. So as we progress and get her a little bit more comfortable, she plays the 2 and the 1, but going back and forth with different mentalities sometimes of what a 2 does and a 1 does, but they morph pretty, smoothly within our offense. But she's doing great. It's just we played a team that has a lot of pressure, and she hasn't faced that much pressure. Well, a lot of us didn't, face as much pressure. But I just think patience, right? Is she's a great player, a phenomenal shooter. We're just going to get her more and more confident as she gets more reps. I think we'll definitely see, her gain just a little bit more comfortability out there.
What did you see in Sydney? What do you see in Sydney Fulcher that makes her a future coach, and what role do you want her to play in this 1 year?
Yeah, I
on
know.
your staff?
Well, I like her playing. She just is, Sid is that just a selfless, gritty. She understands the whole concept of what forming a team means, being part of a team is, and I think that's the people who get into coaching, the ones that are most successful. They really, they have a great team concept of what it takes. And, Sid's, trajectory here, she sat behind some pretty good people. And Sid never jumped in and said, well, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna go where I can do what I want to do right away. She really didn't get a whole lot of time till that 3rd year a little bit. And then the 4th year, she really was a catalyst to continuing this thing. So Sid's got a really great perspective. She's team first. She's grit. That kid is not afraid of hard work. I'm pretty sure you'll have to check with Dr. Wolf, but with her knee last year, think how many surgeries he's done, but I can't quote him, but he was like, Jan, I cannot believe she's playing on that. And I was like, I know she's tough. He's like, no, I can't believe she's playing on it. And so when we had to have that little surgery and she, missed, she was supposed to miss like at least 2 more weeks. And she came in after, she was kind of crying, like she had to have the surgery, but it was so painful. And she just looked at me, she was like, I am not sitting out that long. I'll be back 2 weeks sooner than they think. And she was. And I think it's that mentality, mom and dad are Chicago, she's tough, they're mean what they say what they mean, loyal. So she's just everything you want in a player, but she's going to make a heck of a coach. I got to get her, use her voice a little more, but I'm telling you, that's a challenge on any staff. The last years, there's 6 people that can talk in practice, and that's a lot of voices that you're trying to manage, right? Is you want people to feel vested, you want people to talk, but if everybody's talking, it can get kind of too loud in a gym. And I think, Sid, she's trying to figure out if she should, so I'm trying to empower her because she has a lot of wisdom. So if I can get her just to talk a little more during practice and share that, I think that'll be valuable to us, but even more so to the players.
Do you expect Tegan Mulaney to be back on Sunday?
I do. She didn't practice as much as I thought she would yesterday, but, tomorrow is our mandatory day off, which we would need anyway. I'd give them off, but so she'll probably do a little bit today, but she'll have another full day of rest. So then we'll have a couple days of practice, which she should be really able to get into the swing of it. That was the weirdest thing. Did you guys see that? She was just standing, so she wasn't expecting. Like if you're a post and you're down there and you're ready for that, you're kind of ready for someone to shove you. So there's kind of an expectancy in your subconscious mind. She was just going down and she was just standing. The play was going to be set. And like no engagement, and the kid meant no ill will, just so you know. But for whatever reason, if you watch the film, the kid is just like, bam. It just be like all of a sudden, like you just get kind of but she kind of hit, and then she stumbled. But when she stumbled, the rubber on her sole just got caught, and the side of her ankle just went. It hit the floor, and thankfully it wasn't as much of the weight as when you really. But I could see why she did not go back in the game. And then I was like, oh, she'll be back tomorrow until I watch the film. So it's just unfortunate. I told Tegan, you got the bad luck out of the way now. That was such a random. And I think the kid, she was probably, I don't know, she was first year, so excited. She was probably trying to get position. It was weird. I'd never seen anything like it. And not called. Because if you were watching it, you'd probably be like, the ref probably couldn't even call it because he was like, why would she do that?
Did they not call a foul?
No.
I thought they did.
Did they? Maybe they did. I don't know. I can't remember. I was so, when I kept watching the film, I just couldn't believe her ankle turned like that. But anyway, she should be back.